Hello, welcome to Tyler's Tech Podcast episode 2. So I'm slowly getting a bit more used to doing this whole podcast thing. I think I've minimised any of the issues that I had with the first one, so it's taken a bit longer for me to get this one out. So this one's with Uri Herrera, who is the founder of Nitrux, which is a Linux desktop distribution that I've featured on the channel lately and taken a bit of an interest to. So I decided to invite him onto the podcast for a chat, and this is how that chat went. But I think due to some audio issues and sort of time constraints on my end, because I'm in England and obviously Uri's in Mexico, so it's made things a bit harder. But we're here now, so how are you doing?
Good, I'm good.
Okay, so is it been a good what time is it for you?
It's around like 1 p.m.
Ah, okay, so you just had your lunch or something?
Not yet.
Late eater. So how did Nitrux become a thing?
Well, I started Nitrux in like 2012. I was studying graphic design, so most of my early work was related pretty much to making artwork, a lot of icon themes, some GTK themes, some plasma themes.
And what
Um,
nameable because you've done an icon for the KDE project, wasn't it, as well, you said at some point?
Yeah, I also made the Breeze icon theme and I
That's right.
updated the Breeze plasma theme.
So you sort of transitioned that into, because you obviously got sort of an eye for design, so you just wanted to design your own desktop distribution, if you like, and focus on aesthetic. Is the aesthetic sort of a priority for you, do you think?
I think it's like 50-50. Like it's not just the looks, but also how it works.
Yeah, of course. So what was you so before graphic design, did you have like a regular job, like a boring job?
No, I was just in college.
Just college? So how old are you?
I'm 30.
3 years older than me. Okay, cool. So I know you've expanded your team now. So how large is the team around sort of Nitrux? Nitrux.
We're currently 5 members. We just had a new developer join us.
And is he settled in good?
Yeah, he's settling good. He's going to work on my wiki stuff.
Okay. So what made you decide to take the approach with Nitrux, sort of immutable operating system, relying heavily on app image formats as opposed to sort of a conventional package manager or something like that?
We wanted Nitrux to be like a convergence system.
Yep.
So we figured that the best way to do it was to follow things like existing OSs, like for example Android, like iOS, like they are very tightly integrated operating systems where a package manager is not an integral part of the user experience.
Right, and it wasn't you hadn't always used app image format, is that right? Did you use something else beforehand?
Uh, at the very beginning,
Yeah.
we were thinking like using snaps, but we had some, uh, how do I say, difficulties, and we found out about app images, and that fit better with what we wanted to do.
And so have you got quite a good relationship with the people sort of who are running the whole app image front and sort of developers there and maintainers and etc.?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, one of the developers used to work for us. So.
Oh, cool, right. So do you feel like how do you feel the adoption of app images is going so far?
Well, I think it's going very slow.
Yeah.
I think that the fact that App Image doesn't have like the backing of a large company, or that it's not like adopted by one of the larger community desktop projects, it's like it doesn't help its case.
No, it's not got like a massive mainstream sort of distribution pushing it like sort of Fedora's sort of got Flatpak almost, isn't it? Sort of that does the whole Flatpak thing quite well. Ubuntu's got
Mhm.
Snap. I don't know. I think I I think app is a different app image is a good way of doing it. I think if you're going sort of on the portable route, isn't it?
Hmm.
What do you think of a conventional package manager like apt or Yum or something?
I mean, they're fine. They're fine for desktop computers. I mean, desktop laptops, those kinds of computers.
Because you
But
go on.
yeah,
So you're aiming for sort of this whole sort of convergence thing, aren't you? So you want to sort of be quite adaptive and sort of dynamic across devices, if you
yeah,
like. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Because honestly, you're not going to use a package manager on, I don't know, your car or your TV. So
No, no. I mean, it could be quite funny if you could, though. So where did the idea of implementing homebrew come into it?
well, I mean, it's pretty easy. It's mostly to fill in the gap.
Is there other
Uh,
distributions that do that? I've not really come across it.
no, I don't think so.
No, I think that's the first one. So I've not been able to use VMetal myself, but I'm interested in how you've packaged it, sort of as a streamlined process. But I've not been able to see it in action, if you like. Do you want to sort of talk about how just the process of that and how it works for an end user, if you like?
Well, Homebrew works like pretty
VMetal,
much like
sorry.
a package. VML.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry. Did I not make... yeah, sorry.
No,
So I'll say again. Sorry, I haven't had a chance to be able to use VMetal because I haven't just got a setup that will fit VMetal, if you like.
uh-huh.
So sort of explaining it to sort of a first-time person, like how would it feel like to the end user to use it? Is it an easy? I've not seen it.
Okay. Yeah. It's pretty easy. We made Bin Metal to be pretty much like all automated.
Yep.
So the only setup that the user has to do is download the Windows 10 ISO for installation. Bin Metal will download the virtual drivers ISO,
Right.
and it will create the virtual drives, and that's all. It, you just have to have the right hardware.
Yeah, you just have to have two GPUs basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just pass through, isn't it? It's just GPU pass through.
Simple words, yes.
Yeah, into so the stable version of Nitrux that's on your site is
Hmm.
€4.
Yep.
What would you say to the people that ask if what would you say to people that are asking what are you doing differently to other distributions that don't ask for anything up front?
Well, we are of course doing BMetal. We are doing development with MaviKit, like to have the framework for graphical applications. We are doing CNX. We are doing all of the integration with app images. We are also working like on an easier way to create app images. Uh, so all of that work, of course, is not free.
No, of course. What about so you just mentioned ZNX. I'll say ZNX actually. Yeah, you just mentioned
Yeah.
ZNX. So sort of, how would you sort of describe that as well? Because I've used it to sort of deploy and I've only updated, but I saw a little tweet you sent the other day. Like, would it be better if we described it as, and then you had like a sort of quite a sort of flurry of words, if you like.
Mm, well, CNX, it's a operating systems manager. It's not a container. It's not a virtualization software. It's not a tool that specifically is made for writing ISOs to USB. Also, I mean, like DD, for example, it's not
Yeah.
that. What it does is that it copies the ISO to a storage device and boots the ISO and allows for persistence data. That's all it does.
And I noticed, so I think you said as well. I think been getting sort of community people to test it out with sort of, the sort of conventional way of doing. Like, if you was on Windows, people use Rufus and things like. You've been getting people to try out different
Mm-hmm.
ISO burners, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah. We had a problem where the ISOs wouldn't boot in older computers, but I mean that's completely unrelated to CNX.
The desktop, as it is now, is sort of like a a customized sort of plasma, if you like, but you're going to aim to have a new shell. Is that?
Yeah. Yep.
And you sent me an image of you sent me an image of the new shell. Was that a proof of concept, just sort of like an animated image, or was that something that's what was that? Just sort of an animated.
It's code. It's code. It's working code. It's
Yep.
just that it's a prototype.
Okay, cool.
So yeah.
Has anyone else seen that yet?
Nope.
Would
Not yet.
you like to talk about that image at all? Not like in specific or anything, but just the new way you hope the desktop to be.
I would like to show it publicly when we have something that people can test,
Okay,
because
that's fine.
I'm yeah, if we show it right now, it's going to be like all hyped, but
Yeah,
no.
you don't want to just give like a nice little teaser of just a few words of what you know.
Yeah. So the new shell that we are working on, it's basically like a convergence shell. I mean, it's all in line with the rest of the MauiKit applications that are also convergent. The MauiKit applications, since they work on the Linux desktop, they also work on Plasma Mobile. Plasma Mobile includes two of them actually. They also work on Android, and the shell it's also meant to be like an Android launcher,
Okay.
or that's like the idea. And I think it could also work for well, I mean the Maui applications work on Windows, but like the shell, it could also work as a replacement for the Windows Explorer shell thing.
So so you're on version 1.2.2 at the moment, is that right?
Yep.
And we're talking quite far on, past the one stage, are we, from when you hope to have that?
Yeah, it's gonna take like some some various months, but we hope to have something that people at least could compile in somewhere like 5 months or something like that.
Five months from now.
Yeah.
Oh, nice, cool. How would you sort of what's the ideal way for somebody to install ZNX? Say they've just, they're on their computer now, and they just want to install it. Because the way I did it is because obviously I've got Linux running, so I just installed it from the terminal onto a USB drive from a. What is the sort of the ideal way for easy installation, if you like? So
Of CNX?
Of just, someone's grabbed your ISO and they wanna put it on their computer as, the main on the as the main drive. Just that. What's the easiest way, would you say, for a sort of a user to just jump up and do that?
Okay. So first of course, download the ISO.
Yep.
And then you can actually just flash it to a USB and start like the live session. Then you will want to deploy the OS to your internal storage using CNX. Just follow the commands that we have on our website, and that's all.
So you have a development branch as well for anyone who just wanted to test it, play around with it without having to sort of pay any money as well, don't you?
Yeah.
And would you sort of?
Yeah, we also.
Yep, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, we also have like other distributions. A couple of them just right now. We have other distributions. Yeah.
Elaborate. What other distributions?
Yeah. We have an ISO of Elementary and of KD Neon that people can try and deploy with CNX.
Okay.
And so that people can see what CNX can do for, like, it's not just like a Nitrux thing where it just works in Nitrux, and that it to clear some misconceptions that people might have with CNX. So yeah.
Okay, that's not a bad sort of segue misconception. So, how do you sort of feel about the overall sort of community's reaction to or support, if you like, of Nitrux?
Well, it's kind of mixed, I think, because some people think that like we just take Ubuntu and like change the theme, and that's obviously what we don't do.
Yeah.
And some other people see that things like CNX and think that they don't understand it, or they think that it does something that it doesn't do, or that it prevents them to do some things when it's not the case. So yeah.
Has it got better over time? Do you feel, or do you feel like it was an initial thing, people like a gut reaction, knee reaction sort of thing, or is it getting better?
I think it's gotten a bit better. Also because like from all that feedback, we have been updating the text on our website, like the help, the FAQ, like to make it mm, clearer
So what
what's CNX about.
what would you say? So apart from just sort of people not really wanting to pay money or calling you an Ubuntu clone with a new theme, or was there any
Hmm.
feedback there that you felt was warranted? Then you are so you mentioned sort of the documentation. Was it on your website? Is there
Hmm.
anything else there that you felt wasn't just noise and was something that perhaps you did need to sort of address and work on?
Yeah, I mean, when we started using CNX, there were many changes because it's like a significant change in how Linux distributions work. So I think it's also like part our fault for not like being more descriptive in everything and like to explain it better. But like over time, we have been adding more text and like make it more clear and like so on.
You've been sort of. I also did some test runs, but when was you so when you've been doing some boot run timings of sort of clear Nitrux and comparing it with other ones, when was
Hmm.
you timing it exactly from?
I was timing the boot time from after selecting the after selecting Nitrux from the CNX boot menu. Like we show a groove menu with
Yeah.
the various entries for putting the metal related stuff. So I time it from there until the welcome wizard shows up because that's when the desktop has loaded. So I timed it.
You're aiming to get a faster boot time, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So what?
because precisely since we want it to be like a distribution for convergence,
Mm-hmm.
we can, for example, one example I was that I saw from my research is that uh, if we want Nitrux to be used for an infotainment system, you don't want to wait for the infotainment system in your car to boot up in, I don't know, a minute or
No.
something. You want it to boot fast, and so that kind of requirement is also why um, I want to make the distribution boot as fast as possible.
So what are you gonna do to enable you to get to that faster, more attainable boot time? Do you think?
Well, first of all, not using systemd.
Say that not use this. Say that again.
uh, to not use systemd. Then,
Okay. Are you gonna is that the new thing you're gonna do?
yep,
Okay. And you think that's gonna dramatically improve your boot time? It probably will. Yeah.
yeah, it just not using systemd, we get at least without doing anything more. Without using systemd, we get like 1 second less of the boot time. So,
Well, you'll probably get a few more sort of supporters from that end anyway, because there are sort of flag bearers that hate system Ds that will just jump the ship for that anyway. So you've probably done a good thing there, to be honest, in the grand scheme.
Yeah, because I mean, it's not precisely that we hate systemd. It's just that for the purpose of how we want to use the distribution and what we want it to be used for, systemd is just too much. Uh, it's too complex, so
so,
we don't really need that complexity.
so when do you hope to have System D3?
Um, right now we actually have an ISO that doesn't have systemd, and but there's like just one issue,
What's
just one thing
what's that?
uh, that B metal doesn't actually work.
Oh, well, that is a big issue, isn't it? If that's because that's sort of a USP of yours that you're sort of yeah. So
Yeah.
what's the issue there then?
Um, so we need to make sure to have the necessary modification for the init RAM, I think,
Right.
to um, to have the a binary that we use uh, to have the operating system take over the GPU that it's going to be assigned for VMetal. So since that's not happening, um, we need to fix that. But other than that, it's just that stopping us from releasing that version.
And you've done a speed test and of the one without of a boot test without System D, and
Yeah,
it's dramatically faster.
it's like 1.5 seconds faster.
Right, so the V metal thing's probably sort of really wound you up a bit there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh god. So, are there any other key areas that you want to how can are there other distributions out there that you are doing things good or well that you think you could take a bit of inspiration from, or that you'd like to sort of
Mhm.
focus on as well?
I like very much Elementary, like on the way that they focus on designing and UI and UX. That part of Elementary I like very much. It's definitely like an inspiration for us, like to follow that kind of focus that they have. When it comes to the underpinnings, I think definitely Clear Linux is a project that we want to like follow too.
I must admit, yeah, I've been very impressed with the time I've spent with Clear Linux. To be honest, I think it's doing some good work there.
Yeah.
So when did sorry to sort of back shadow. When did Nitrux start? When was your first sort of public beta or something like that, if you like?
Uh, we had we used to make releases like I think 5, 6 years ago,
Right.
but then we stopped. Then when we restarted the development of the distribution, I think we released a release candidate around early 2017, like 2 years.
Why is that then? I must have completely blanked that
Um,
period out.
well, because of a problem with systemd.
Oh right, okay. So it's kind of just been a big problem for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you came back, but
Hmm.
with the idea that you was going to drop System D then, so you sort of laid low for a bit and thought we're going to come back, but the only way we're going to sort of come back is to eventually just drop it entirely.
Yeah, yeah. Eventually, it was going to be removed from Nitrux. Yes.
So do you always see it being a sort of, well, I say payment model? Do you always see it being a sort of, actually, so you said something about a 7-to-1 ratio or something like that on your
Uh,
down.
hmm.
Yeah, do you want to touch? So, what do you mean? People sharing the file, or what do you mean?
No, I mean like I have the stats
Yep.
from the downloads. So what I was comparing is that uh
Stable to
the
development.
yes,
Right.
yes, I was
Okay.
comparing the downloads.
So, and how many what is the sort of total downloads that you've got on stable and on development?
Since we have the payment model, it's around like 700 from the development and like 100 and 760 from the development and like 170 from for the stable.
And so this is your full-time job now, as well as 4 other people. Is that right?
Yep.
And that provides you your main income.
Yeah. Yep.
So you are sort of living the Linux dream at the minute.
Yeah, developing free and open source software.
um, the icons and the actual theme. So when you get your new so when you go to your new shell, what are you still going to try and keep the sort of overall aesthetic? Are you going to try and sort of transfer the same look and feel over to it?
No, we'll definitely have like a new how do I say it? A new UI guideline for Maui, like in the works. We just I mean, we have some mockups of how we want to like evolve the current look, and but we haven't like released them publicly yet.
And so the current icons and is that created by Nitrux yourself, or is it something that's outsourced?
No, that everything is created by
Everything.
us.
And
Yep.
and you being sort of history and a bit of graphic design and stuff, you've designed all of that yourself, or has it been you and your team, or are you the design guy with the good eye for the aesthetics? Then so you do all of that.
Yeah, no, I made the icon theme and the plasma theme and the widget theme. We use Quantum.
Yep.
Um, yeah, no, I made all of that before starting to like adding people to Nitrux.
Because did you contribute to other projects?
Yeah,
What do you
KDE mostly.
Yeah, do you know what? It was actually I've always sort of been a bit not anti KDE. Is probably not the way to say. I've just never really used it. I've sort of
Uh-huh.
always just been XFCE or GNOME mainly, to be honest. But
Mm.
since using Nitrux a bit and just I've kind of fallen in love with KDE. It's a bit weird because I didn't expect it. So it's like my main environment, even on my computer I'm using now. So on my Debian machine, it's what I'm using. It's since I think Nitrux has sort of converted me into sort of a KDE kid now. It's weird.
Great, it worked.
Yeah, no, it's good. So would you say that is there any other desktop environments that you use on a regular basis, or would you just use KDE?
I used to use Pantheon because I was like a long time elementary user, but
Oh,
then I tried,
Pantheon.
yeah,
Yep. Sorry, I missed that. Yeah, go on.
and then I tried Plasma 5,
Mm-hmm.
and I, s- I still use Plasma 5.
So was you have you used Elementary as sort of a daily driver for a while, or have you just used the desktop environment on another distribution?
No, I actually I had been using elementary OS since they started. I used to have it as the single OS on my main computer, like, but that was like 5, 6 years ago.
So what was you using before that then?
I was using just plain Ubuntu with XFC.
Always been sort of an Ubuntu Debian sort of base, yeah.
Yeah, I tried Manjaro and I did like it, but there were times that when an update would come through and break everything.
Yeah, I've had that happen on Manjaro myself. It was always the network for me as well. It's sort of an update would break the network manager or something, and I just have to go in and sort it out. And I was like, you know what, I can't be doing with this.
Yeah, I mean, when it didn't happen, it was working perfectly fine. I did like Pacman. I do like Pacman a lot. Actually, like Homebrew is very similar to Pacman in the way that it compiles the packages locally and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So would you say that would be your favorite conventional package manager then?
yeah, I really like Pacman. And when I started to like try Homebrew, and I noticed that it worked pretty much like Pac-Man. It was like, okay, cool.
So
I like it.
what compute what do you work from? Are you like just do you have a sort of your own desktop, or do you just mainly work from like a laptop?
I have two desktops. Yes.
And what sort of hardware you got in those?
The main one has a Ryzen 7 2700X. It has two GTX 1080s. I have 32 gigs of RAM, and I have a X370 Aorus motherboard. And the second one, it's an Intel Core i5 7400. I have also a Radeon Nano, and the motherboard it's a C270 um, Mini ITX motherboard, and that hardware also runs a Hackintosh.
Oh,
So
so
yeah.
you, so what boot setup have you got? The new like a dual boot or tree boot? What have you got? Just Nitrux and Apple, or what have you got?
On my main computer, I just have Nitrux, of course. On the secondary one, I just have macOS, but I have Nitrux on an external SSD, which I use when on other computers or on my Hackintosh to test Nitrux.
So do you like? Do you take any sort of design cues? Maybe that's where you got the idea for your homebrew then as well. I'm going to assume.
Yes, I actually never tried macOS. So when I got to build the Hackintosh computer that I have, it was like this is going to be specifically to use macOS, and because for example, the way that macOS works with its DMG files
Yep.
and the whole application thing, I was like, okay, this is similar to App Image actually,
Yeah, it is. Now that you
and
mention it, yeah.
like, huh, okay, so we can like have this sort of integration. We can have, so how it works and like that, all of that inner workings of the OS, how it's based on having just like this app bundle that they use. I was like, yeah, I want that. I want that in Nitrix.
Going back to your hardware, so what's the hardware sort of situation like in Mexico? 'Cause in England, where I live, hardware is massively overpriced in comparison
Mm-hmm.
to like America or another
Mm-hmm.
country. What is it the same for you? Have you got comparatively cheaper hardware than me?
I don't think we do. I think
No.
it's also like overpriced.
Yeah, it's crazy here. So like just anything is going to be it's always more over here. I don't know why. Oh, it used to not be as
Uh,
bad, but the conversion rate now, because with the pound's not as even as strong as it used to be now. So
mhm.
even when it's the same price as like an American dollar, it's just I don't know. Everything's just got more expensive for just hardware over here.
Yeah, yeah. Most of the time, I try to get things from the US, have them imported because some many times the hardware that sellers have here in Mexico, it's just like too expensive.
Yeah. So let's getting back to Nitrix.
Yep.
So what's the release cycle again? Sorry.
Yeah. We make new stable releases every last Friday of the month, or Saturday if there's like a last minute thing to fix.
And so, what's on the roadmap for let's say, the next couple of few months, if you like?
We want to get the our app image building thing that we're working on like ready, so that we can start to generate app images for MAUI applications and overall making app images easier to create.
Yeah, do you want to
And
sort of have a GUI there or something that's for people to just be able to I don't know is there
yeah, yeah,
I've used
definitely.
there's PK2 app image or something, isn't there?
Hmm.
I think I've used that for
Yeah.
or is that what was the one that I would have used to do Google Chrome?
I use depth to app image.
Right. So you'll when do you when's this GUI going to be out? Is it something you're just going to be sort of Nitrux in-house made, or is it you're going to adapt something from somewhere else?
Nah, we're gonna make it, of course.
Nice, I like the sound of that. So, what's that? What do you want that process to be like? And do you want to? Do you want to describe it a little bit?
Yeah, what I was thinking of is that it worked like you are the developer, right?
Mhm.
So you create your code, then you put that code into the builder, like it generates the app images based on that. You like enter, I don't know, like the dependencies for your project and stuff, and the uh, the builder creates the app image, and you have an app image. Like,
Um,
hopefully, is that easy?
that's where you're at with that, and you want to have.
Yeah.
Okay, so it seems you've got a few things to do, and you've got to get the. I think what's gonna, because I think the System D thing for you is probably a good way to go,
Hmm.
but it's the V metal thing, isn't it? It's gonna. I think once you've that ball's rolling, I think that's gonna sort of really help things sort of user
Yeah.
adoption. Do you not think?
Yeah. Because like uh the format, the application format, it's like good. It's really good. It's just that to have um an existing program or create your own program and package it as an app image can be a very difficult process. And we want that process to not be difficult so that people adapt it uh, faster.
Yeah. So I'm going to assume then with you, cause did you at one point have a software store, like an app center, if you like?
Hmm. Yep.
And was it just links? Did it just sort of like, what did it do? Like wget download? How did that work? What was it?
Yeah, pretty much because I
Yeah.
mean there's no installation, so
Well, yeah.
it's
So all it would need to surely do is like just run like a wget, sort of put it in, and then just run the at the same time the executable, and it's done. And put it in an applications folder in your home, and surely it's as easy as that, isn't it?
yep.
So is that when do you hope to have like a sort of a functioning app center out of the box?
Mm, I would say within maybe the next 3 months or less, we have the interface ready and we have the backend also like ready. We just have to polish it and publish the new code, and people can compile it, and we will include it on the next few versions of Nitrux.
Okay. So last little question I've just thought of randomly. If there was no
Hmm.
Linux and only
Yep.
Windows, Apple,
Hmm.
and BSD, you're gonna just use. What would you choose out of those three?
Uh, all of them.
Ah, okay. You have to choose one.
Okay, I would choose probably macOS, and I would virtualize BSD.
Okay, thanks. Is there anything you want to say to people how to sort of find you and where to if they want to get involved or where your Twitter is, etc.
Yeah, people can find us on Twitter as Nitrux_NX. That handle is also the one we use for Mastodon and Instagram. We also have a Facebook page. We also have a MeWe page and open community. You just search for Nitrux. We have a public chat room on gitter.im.
Okay, lovely. Thank you, Yuri. I shall get back in touch with you in a few months and see where you are, and maybe we'll touch bases on another episode again.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Lovely. Take care.